Growing up as the youngest of three boys was always a bit of a challenge. There were some up parts to it, but most of the time, me being the littlest one, I just ended up the target of numerous beatings, as is typical of the youngest brother. Now, every once in a while, my mom would come in and catch my brothers being less than nice to me. And then they'd say, well, my mom would always say, "You better watch out, because one day he may be bigger than you, and then you'll be sorry." Little did she know that I would actually end up to be bigger than both of them combined. But that's part of just being a part of family. I mean, it wasn't like severe fights or anything like that. It was just brothers roughhousing. And me being 5 years younger than the two brothers, I ended up, well, not always in the optimal position. But it was family. Nothing serious. Everything, at the end of the day, everything was fine. We as brothers loved each other. We loved to roughhouse. It was just the way that we were. We got in trouble together. We avoided trouble together. We avoided punishment together a lot more than we should have. But nevertheless, we acted as a family. When we're studying the Bible, we sit there and we look at large sections sometimes. In our devotional times, we'll usually take a couple chapters. Sometimes we break it down to just a few verses. But sometimes, and I've said this many times before, you end up with just this one little small section that just catches so much information if we just take the time to read it slowly. And at the beginning of verse 26 to 17, there is three little words that if you just kind of flash by them, we flash by a whole lot. By one blood. By one blood, each and every one of us died. By one blood, each and every one of us is saved. We know that's the point of the verse. But we forget some of the broader impacts of what it means to be one blood. They had did some research a few years ago focusing on Africa and the origin of the human species, and they were especially looking as far as from a cellular standpoint. Now, I tend to disagree with the timing, but the principle I've held to for even longer than they've held to saying, well, we believe this exists. It is the concept of a mitochondrial Eve. What a mitochondrial Eve is, by their definition, is all women can be defined as a traceable DNA gene to a single woman. And they have called her the mitochondrial Eve simply because all their mitochondria gene matches in this one case to this original Eve. We've been saying that for a long time. Now they're saying that she lived hundreds of thousands of years ago in Africa. Now we say she lived about 6,000 to 10,000 years ago in probably Mesopotamia. But nevertheless, there is a mitochondrial Eve. Physical proof. Every human being is related. Each and every one of us is related by blood. It might be distant relatives, but we are each relatives. Now, if you look in Genesis, with some of the stories as far as the early humans and the early Israelites, you have Joseph being tossed down a well. Reuben protects his brother by making sure the other brothers don't kill him and says, just toss him down a well, and Reuben's mind was to go back and get him later. And he was a little disappointed to find out that his brothers had sold him off to slavery, because Reuben was watching out for his brother. Brothers don't always get along. Esau and Jacob were famous for, well, not getting along. But ultimately they reconciled their differences. Here's the point. In today's world, we sit here and look at war after war after war. We look at nations fighting against nations. We look at Arabs fighting Israelis. We look at, wherever you want to go in the world, there's always some kind of conflict where one group of people are killing another group of people. Family. We are killing family. When you have Arabs killing Jews, they're killing family. When you have Jews killing Arabs, they're killing family. By one blood we are saved and condemned, but yet we are all one blood. This is the way that God made us. He made us in a way so that we'd have to depend on each other. I depend on my brothers. I especially depended on them growing up. They got me through all sorts of things. In some ways they depend on me. But we are family. We are one blood. We don't always get along, but we are one blood. Now, Cain and Abel had a little bit of problem with this too. We know this. Because Cain said, I'm going to worship God this way, and Abel says, I'm going to worship God his way. Cain didn't like the way that Abel got rewarded. So we have a tendency to hurt each other as family. We need to remember that each and every one of us is family. And the next time you think about hating someone, telling someone to go to, well, all the variety of words, hating another ethnic group, hating another language group, hating people from another country, we need to remember, even those who are not Christian, they are still family. If we're sitting there living in a burrow in India, and we're looking at another group of people that aren't Christians, that aren't what we would call, by our definition, related by blood, we have to remember they are related by blood. They are family. We should care for each and every member of the family as if they're our own brother or sister. When God put us together as groups of Christians, He reminded us that we are a family unit. We are brothers and sisters. Each and every one of us related. In our cases, by the blood of Jesus as well as the blood of Eve and Adam. But we are all still related. So the question is, when are we going to start acting like it? When are we going to love our own family members? Why are we letting our own family members, even the ones we don't know, go into the pit? We're killing our own family every time we don't tell them about Jesus. So every time you look around, look at a family member and tell them about Jesus. After all, we're all related. I'll see you next week.